Welcome back. The collapse of Obamacare picking up speed. New analysis from the nonpartisan consultancy McKinsey shows a full 3/4 of insurance plans offered by the Obamacare exchanges in 18 states and Washington, D.C. They give Americans a choice of far fewer doctors than they had before. Moreover, insurers are actually rapidly shrinking doctor networks and the size of them to cut costs. This after the Kaiser Family Foundation found nearly a third of U.S. counties only going to have one insurer in the Obamacare exchanges. Millions of Americans now forced to find new insurance or pay the mandate tax. So who's to blame? Are the Democrats right that the Republicans are to blame for hobbling the law? Or is it the greedy insurance companies? Hillary Clinton still backing Obamacare. Will this hurt her election odds? We're going to tackle all of this with political analyst Gina Loudon, Washington Times editor Kelly Riddell, and University of Maryland economist Peter Morici. So, Peter, who's to blame here?
Well, Obamacare is clearly to blame, and let's consider how this is going to play out. Because Obamacare doesn't control costs, it doesn't really do anything about high prices, they're going up. What the insurers are going to do is cram as many people as they can into fewer doctors' offices. I can remember when I was a kid where there was a dermatologist who'd see 8 people an hour. He was running a production line. You hardly got a chance to sit down. You wait and see what it's like to see one of the doctors in one of those HMOs. You might as well be in. Do you remember I Love Lucy when she was doing the thing on the cookie, on, the candy?
Yeah.
That's right. You're going to be a piece of candy, and you may get a wrapper, or you may not.
Wow.
And if you get a wrapper, you'll get diagnosed. If you don't, you're going to stay sick.
Yeah, and to Peter's point, Gina, here's what's going on, too. Zeke Emanuel, who's one of the architects of Obamacare, Gina, he essentially saying, you know what, we just need better advertising to get younger and healthier people in. We need to stiffen or increase the penalty to make sure people buy insurance, Gina. That's a real top-down approach, right, Gina?
Yeah, it's only taxpayer money.
Right.
I mean, we've already wasted billions. Why not spend more? You know, this is the funny thing. I remember before Obamacare passed, being on your sister network on Sean Hannity's show with the doctors panel, and we were talking about how exactly this was going to happen. I hope this is a lesson to people paying attention or maybe learning Econ 101 or Poli-Sci 101 right now that America seems to be a little tone deaf to. And that is that when you meddle especially when the federal government meddles in the free market, it always messes it up, Liz. I don't know when people are going to get this. We need to start teaching business in our schools again.
It's an important point, right? And not, the cultural significance of soap operas. Kelly, come on in here. It looks like only the federal government, to Gina's point, can make something work so badly right now. We have millions of Americans, as Peter pointed out, less doctors, higher deductibles, their insurance costs are exploding. Come on in here. What do you think?
Well, I think that this is going to be a hot political issue going into the fall, and that it'll only be realized come the first week of November when we actually see these premium increases. In Pennsylvania, Highmark Blue Cross is looking for a 40% increase on their premiums. Now, this is astronomical. That's a tight Senate race, and this should be made an issue. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have completely different solutions to this problem. Donald Trump wanting to get rid of Obamacare, looking to make tax-deductible premiums tax-deductible, whereas Hillary Clinton wants to take Medicare and basically lower the age to 55 eligibility and create a single-payer system that competes against these private enterprises.
Peter, come back in here. So what we're talking about here is, John McCain said, fix it, make, interstate availability for insurance. But Peter, the administration's answer is to throw more subsidies at it. And I know you love Ronald Reagan. Remember, Ronald Reagan said this, Professor Morici, if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate. If it stops moving, subsidize it. So to Gina's point, more money, taxpayer money, is going to come in to float these exchanges. What do you see happening with Obamacare?
Well, essentially what we're going to have is a situation where most people won't have a choice. They won't even be able to choose the plan they have because, half the country at some point will only have one provider. Some counties won't have any providers, and so that they just won't be able to buy insurance. And so the Congress will be faced with a fait accompli, that they'll have to endorse, facilitate a government alternative so there can be some competition. But what will happen then is, thanks to access to government money, they will drive out the private sector. The folks on the left in Congress said all along the ACA was a byway or a first step to a single-payer system, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, President Obama said just that. You're absolutely right, Professor Morici. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Kelly. Really appreciate your thoughts.